Hello children, welcome to the literacy class. So today I'm going to tell you a few important things related to your writing. So you all are writing well, but there are certain areas where we need a little amount of improvement, right? So as I said you in the last class that we need to upgrade ourselves as we go from one grade to another. So it's very important that you know these checklists. So the first checklist is nothing but the important or the needed thing that we have to concentrate when we do something, right? Whether we are meeting those needs. It's like a rule. Okay, for your understanding, I'm telling in that way. So first I'm going to take you through a checklist which can be applied to any kind of writing, because in IB we have got 6 genres of writing. So say like descriptive writing, persuasive writing, expository, narrative, creative, all the things are there, research writing are there. So every writing has got its own, the process of writing, right? But for all the writings, whatever you write, there are certain common checklist, common rules that you need to follow. So that we will be looking into, and also what is needed in descriptive writing. So both we will be looking into. The first thing is the common writing checklist. That is, what are the things that you need to include when you write something. When a piece of writing is presented in front of someone, how well you can make it, right? How beautifully you can bring it out. So first is you need to write your name. Okay, whenever you write something, your name is very much important there. It's not only to identify whose work is that, it's also academic honesty, whether you have done it or not. Okay, so your name is important. And then a title. When a situation is given to you, like for example when a situation is explained to you, write a piece of writing on that. You have to give a title to that. For example, when you buy a book, there is a title for it. When you read an article, there is a title for it. A movie has got its own title, right? A title defines what the article is about, what a movie is about, what a writing is about, what the story is about, what a book is about, right? So title is very much important. Like a person's name, the same way the title is important. Okay, so you have to give a title to your writing. That's very much important. Then the common mistake that you people make is not writing in capital letters, that you never begin your sentence with capital letters. Okay, so you should not do that. Whenever you begin writing, you should start with a capital letter. Okay, so begin each sentence with a capital letter. Each sentence in the sense, after full stop, after you place the punctuation, that is a full stop, next sentence should be starting again with a capital letter. That doesn't mean only the first part of a sentence should be in a capital letter, only the first sentence, the beginning of that should be capital. It doesn't mean that. Each sentence means after the full stop, whatever you write, the first sentence should be in the capital. Next is use correct finger spacing. That is very important. Now when you look at the passage here, writing is there which defines what is a descriptive writing. There is a gap between each word, a little gap. So we know that they are different words, but some of you write like it's a running, it's like a river, it's like water. It doesn't have any gaps in between. So never do that, because everybody will not understand what you have written. As a teacher, I may understand your writing, as your friends, they may understand, your parents may understand, but when you present your writing in the in among the audience, when someone else is looking into your writing, even though we are using digital platforms for our writing, every time we are not going to use the digital. There are certain situations where you have to write, isn't it? That's very important. Writing is very important, children. So see to that you are giving correct finger spacing. If you are unable to do that, you can place your index finger between each words to know whether the gap is maintained or not. Then it will be a practice for you. You will start doing that. Then next is indent my paragraph. So whenever you start a paragraph, it should have you have to leave certain gaps from the margin. You should not start your writing from the corner of the page, because that's not the rule, right? Even though you are using the unruled note, whatever type of page you are using, your start of the passage or the paragraph, it should be having some indent. A gap should be there, because it helps us in identifying where does the passage start from, and it looks neat. Okay, next is check your spelling. So obviously we all make spelling mistakes, right? That's not a big deal. You can improve in that. But before you submit your works, there are certain areas sometimes you tend to make careless mistakes, right? Missing a word, missing a letter here and there, right? So you just have to check for the spelling. Next is add punctuation. You have to add punctuations like exclamatory mark, you have to add question mark, you have to add comma, you have to add full stops. These four are very much important, because whenever you write a story or when you read a story, you give the modulation. Your voice modulation is shown there because of these punctuations. But when you write something, it gets, vanished. There is no punctuations there. Only you know where to modulate your voice, right? But the readers also should be knowing that. Why I'm telling this is because you are all very good at expressing yourself through writing. Your writing is extremely different. Each one of you are very good at that. But because of these mistakes, the writing, it's not up to the mark. Your writing is good, but when you miss the punctuation mark, it's not fully, what you can say, it cannot be fully appreciated because of these missing. If someone from outside is reading a passage, they may not understand where they have to stop, where they have to, give a voice modulation there, where they have to enhance their expression. So that is very much important. Next is write neatly. Definitely you have to present your work very, very neatly, children, because until and unless you have everything here but your work is not neat, then nobody will like it. Okay. Then read my writing and make sure it makes sense. So your writing should have meaning in it. Okay, there are certain areas where sometimes out of hurry we just don't understand what we are writing. We just are in a hurry to complete our work fast, so we don't concentrate on the meaning, whether it makes sense, whether it doesn't make sense. You just write it. That should not be there. Your writing should make sense. It should be understandable. So before you submit your work, read it many times. You can change it. Once you read it many times, what happens is you yourself will change certain sentences to make it in a beautiful way, right? To convert it into a beautiful way. So these are the common writing checklist to include whenever you write. Okay, so you have to concentrate in this. Now talking about the descriptive writing is nothing but it describes something in a very detailed manner. So descriptive writing has got every different genre in it. It can be a persuasive writing where you are describing about something. It can be an expository writing where you are describing something. So descriptive writing is a writing that can get into any other writing. So you have to be very clear with that. So already you know how to describe something using the 5 senses, right? So here it is, they have given what is a descriptive writing. It gives a clear focus on the subject, that is what you are writing about. It gives a clear idea. It gives details that appeal to the senses. That is the 5 senses, right? And it is specific, it is lively, it is interesting, because we use interesting vocabularies to that. We add a lot of adjectives to describe. It becomes very beautiful, right? To listen itself, it's like a poem to us. And figurative language when appropriate. So you have to use different languages. It's not the same thing. It looks red, it looks bright. It's not the same language. You have to use different, different perspective when you describe something. Then we can use descriptive writing in the areas like poetry. During writing poetry, you can give the description of something there. You can describe the character. You can describe a book. You can give the book report. When you read a book and if I ask you to give the report of it, you can describe something out of the book. And science experiments, so already in unit of inquiry you have written the record of the observation. It's nothing but how the observation regarding the experiment of solubility test. That is also a descriptive writing. You have described how an experiment is performed, what has happened there. Okay, what did you understand? It's also in descriptive writing. It comes under descriptive writing. So this is the common idea coming under descriptive writing. Now what is needed in descriptive writing? When you write something, what you should be concentrating on? The first thing when you use is, that is when you write a descriptive writing, it's necessary that you use your 5 senses to describe something. Okay, so the 5 senses, like how it looks, how it tastes, how it smells, how it feels, like, and what do you hear, what kind of sound does it produce. Not everything has got all these 5 senses, but when you define or describe something using 5 senses, it will be very easy for you to come up with different adjectives, different vocabularies. Okay, so make sure that whenever you describe something, this 5 senses or the sensory organizer is coming into the stage. Okay, then I can use showing words, not telling words when I write. So there are certain situations where we just tell, for example, we say the boy was happy. So I can only read that. I cannot feel whether the boy was happy or not. But when you give details, when you give showing words instead of telling word, being happy is a telling word. But how was he reacting? So he was jumping around, the boy was jumping around, he was singing and dancing, he was yelling, he was shouting, whatever. If I am giving in such a way, I understand, the reader will understand how the boy was feeling when he was happy. So that is the difference between the showing and telling words. Here there is an example, showing, don't tell. Okay, show, don't tell. So the telling word is he was petrified, he was afraid, he was frightened. Okay, that is the telling word. So if I read he was petrified, okay, I will feel that yeah, he was petrified, he was afraid, he was frightened, something. But instead of giving such a blank statement, instead of that, if we use his eyes were wide with fright and his mouth was open in horror. Now I can imagine when he got afraid or when he got petrified, what was he going through exactly. I can imagine that in my mind, because whenever we read a piece of writing, whenever we read a passage, even one single sentence, our the human brain has the capacity to imagine it. Everybody imagines. Okay, so instead of just giving the showing telling words, you have to use the showing words. So you can now imagine. Now the next passage tells the body, how his body was reacting when he got petrified. His knees were shaking and he covered his face with his hands. Now his voice, he spoke slowly and his voice quivered. He could barely get out a few words. So when he petrified, the author has given the expression on his face, expression of his body, how his body was reacting, how his voice was. But if I say he was petrified, will you be able to imagine all these things? Never. You can imagine in different ways. But when the author is giving such telling, such showing words as description, it's easy for us. So never use telling words, avoid telling words, and instead of that, when you write, when you describe a situation, describe it telling the ways that person experienced that. Okay, then I can write clear, complete sentences that are easy to read. So making sense of what you are writing, you have to write a sentence with meaning, with which a person can understand, which people can understand. Never leave the sentence incomplete. The boy was, that's it, was what he was doing, nothing is described. So that is a question mark there, you cannot understand. Even you yourself, after few days, when you look at your writing, you won't be able to understand what you wrote. Okay, so that is very much important here. I can write using a variety of sentence starters. So sentence starter is, for example, for persuasive writing, we used to start our sentence with I believe, I feel, I think. So they were the sentence starter. So normally, for example, if I give you an apple and I ask you to write, normally what we do is, this is an apple, right? That's not a good sentence starter. Your sentence starting, the starting of your sentence should be very attractive for the readers, right? They should be feeling interesting. Each and every word, you should be making the reader very much occupied with your writing. They should not be feeling bored. Okay, so you can start your sentence in different ways, like apple is my favorite fruit, like that. You can give a different perspective to your writing. The starting of a sentence is also very much important, children. Not only including five senses and then describing it, that only is not going to make your writing so much appealing to others. So give different varieties of start. You can start a sentence with a story also. Last time when I gave you a writing, I remember one of the student in our classes, right? She was writing about introduction of the smartphone to a person who is a time traveler from the 1900s. So she started her writing with a story which was really appealing to me. I really liked it. Okay, she just started it with story. Not only her, there were many children like you who started the writing with a story, in a form of a story. So the starting of a sentence should be holding up the reader there. He or she should not be feeling bored. Next is, I can use proper capitalization and punctuation. This proper capitalization and punctuation is very much required in any type of writing you write, not only for descriptive. For every type of writing, it's must. Okay. And the last thing you need to see is, I can circle words that is not spelled correctly. So if you feel that you have made a mistake, there are certain times when we realize, yes, I have made a mistake. What you will do, you will just avoid it or you will just forget it. But circle that word and then again you read it. try to correct it by yourself. You know the spelling, but because you have a little doubt on that, we tend to leave it like that. So there are certain situations where you make a careless mistake, you would have missed the E, R, whatever it is. So what you have to do is circle those words, and then you can bring it to the teacher, so that she is also known about your mistakes that you have made, or she knows that yes, you realize where you have made the mistake. Okay, so whenever you write a piece of writing a passage, you go through that fully, and you realize what is the mistake that you have made. And then if you tell it to your teacher, she will also be knowing that yes, the student has identified, or the student knows the rules. Only when you know the rule, you will know where you have made the mistake. Okay, so these were the important writing checklist that has to be done. And this was a picture that was shown to you. So I asked you to write a descriptive passage looking into this picture, and I asked you to describe, and I asked you to follow these rules, and many of you have done a wonderful job. I really went through everybody's writing, and really there's a change. I can see a change in there, where many of you have avoided using the telling words, you have included the showing words. I really felt happy, and many of you have circled your mistakes, right? That is a really good start, children. I know, and I hope that you will also continue this in the future, not only in grade 3. Whenever you write a piece of writing, make sure that you keep this in mind, keep this checklist in mind. This is not hard, you yourself know, because many of you realized and told me that ma'am, I have corrected my mistake of making that capital letters, starting my sentence with small letters. I have improved that. I have improved my spelling mistake, or you say I have improved the spaces between the words, or sometimes you say I have improved the presentation. Keep improving, keep working on that, keep writing. Don't give up your writing. Whatever edtech tool is available, whatever technology we use, writing is very important, children. You have to write daily, you have to write. Even I am not giving you any work. Select a topic that is in the literacy book, keep writing. Select your own topic, keep writing at least 5 to 10 lines, because writing and reading is very much important to enhance your language. Not only English, whatever your language may be, even your mother tongue, keep writing. Okay, keep reading, keep writing. So I hope you would have understood the checklist, and I hope you will follow this in your future. Till I see you for the next time, bye, take care.